The latest album is World Boogie is coming.
Right.
Was there, before you started working on it, was there sort of a concept of it in your mind already?
Yeah, definitely. The main inspiration for the record was a friend gave me a 2-string coffee can diddly bow, and we started playing Rollin' and Tumblin', and my brother was like, that's hot. He's like, I want to make a video of that. So we recorded it and made a video, and that was the beginning of the record. And Cody's video work, we did 4 or 5 videos, and they were really, the record's really a soundtrack to his visual image, his visual concept, you know? And we just finished, he just finished a performance film that will be our next release. World Boogie is coming, the movie, and it's great, man. But really, we wanted to make a modern day statement of where Mississippi music was right now, you know? We invited all our friends to come and join us, and we got Alvin Youngblood Hart, Dwayne Burnside, Sade Thomas, Robert Plant. It was a great lineup, and we just wanted to just throw down and make a declaration of modern day Mississippi blues, you know? And we recorded it really fast and really raw, but then we would add elements, just gangster ass, cheap ass, like a rural disco, like a dance party out in the middle of the country, you know?
So that sentiment of that atmosphere of Mississippi is very important. Do you have to be then in that mind space, or not necessarily in the state, but do you have to be in that mindset when you write songs? Yeah,
well, you know, it's funny, our music puts us in that mind state wherever we are, and that's part of what we try to do, is to translate, to communicate that feeling of being at a Mississippi house party wherever we go, you know? And that's really important for us, because it's a unique feeling, and but it does help, because we were in Mississippi in our barn.
Well, yeah, you have a home studio.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an old barn that we built with our dad, and we've been using for a lot of years, and I love recording there.
Is it one of those things then where as soon as you have an idea, you run to the studio and you start working on it?
No, it's not. It's a place we come to and gather and work, you know?
Oh, so
I have my own little place. We all have home studios, but then we have our main studio as well.
There are a couple of traditional blues, songs. How do you pick which ones go on there?
They just kind of pop up while we're on tour. You know, we tour so much, and it may be something that we just start playing one night, or a melody comes out, or something comes out in conversation. It's just, it's pretty natural. We never really like, I like that song, let's learn it and play it. It's just a song maybe I learned when I was a kid, and it comes out, you know. So much of them come from childhood.
And in terms of the songs that you write yourself, do you remember which was the first one you started on?
From this record?
Yeah.
The ML, the guitar instrumental.
Oh, okay.
We've been working on that for a lot of years, and it's evolved a lot. That's our second recording of it, and it's the only guitar instrumental we've ever done, but it's the oldest one for sure.
So why an instrumental then? Well, how did it
just kept growing, you know? It was like, I wrote the first melody one day. It was a beautiful morning, and I went bum 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 bum, and we started jamming on it. And then Dwayne wrote a section, Chris Chu wrote a section, Cody wrote. It just kept evolving, and then we had been playing it on acoustic guitars with Robert Plant on the road, so we wanted to record that version.
Well, I asked this question to a lot of producers. It kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, but when do you know when it's finished? Because you say this song has been years in the making.
Yeah, right.
So when do you know, okay, this is it?
Well, you have to make deadlines for yourself, you know, for that reason, because or else you never finish, you know. It's like, all right, we got a week to make this record, and we have to finish by Friday, you know, so boom. So, you know, you get a good take, and like, okay, good. Whew. A good influence on me has been Jack White, because he's really smart about freedom and limitations and setting boundaries and parameters to work in, and I've learned a lot from him about that. Not like songs or style or guitar sound, but just a work ethic and principles of your work. He's really giving in his interviews and stuff. He's really he talks about it. He's a good teacher. He just lays it all out there every chance he gets, and I really appreciate that. It's really cool.
So So in that sense, do you take a lot from modern music that you hear? Are you influenced by?
Yeah, definitely. Everything you hear comes through the filter, you know, and that's, like I said, part of what we're trying to do is present Mississippi blues in an extremely modern, danceable fashion, you know, and camouflage roots music in a type of presentation that can rock the pink pop, you know. It's like we're out there and like have the crowd, the kids jumping up and down, and that feels great, man.
Because there is a, well, maybe I'm not phrasing this right, but there is a kind of a fear of that the youth isn't into the traditional blues roots music.
Right, of course.
And so is there? Do you kind of make it a point to make it accessible for them?
Exactly. And for a while, I was being too self-indulgent and just being old-fashioned because that's what I like. But at a certain point, I realized that I wouldn't hold up my end of the deal because, you know, my father and his friends, R.L. Burnside, Junior Kimbrough, his friends, all the elders that we learned from, they made it cool to my generation. So and then they taught us so much. So when the elders teach you and then you become older, you have to pass it on to the younger generations. Therefore, in our situation, we have to make it appealing to the younger generation, or else it'll just die off, you know?
I think it might be a bit different in the United States. Guitar music is still quite
it's so really out of style, you know?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's all DJs, you know? It's all dance. It's very popular. There's always rock. There's still rock and roll, but it's nowhere near as popular as it once was.
Exactly. It's somewhat of an uphill battle then. But do you think with acts like Gary Clark Jr., the Black Keys, those kind of musicians, do you think there's a good movement?
It's great. Yeah, I'm so happy for it. Gary Clark Jr. is awesome, man. He's a great artist.
So the blues will stay alive.
Uh-huh.
So the blues will stay alive.
Well, it'll keep evolving, you know.
Right. You mentioned the guest appearance as well, Robert Plant.
No, not tonight.
No, not tonight. But you mentioned the guest appearances on the record.
He played on it. Robert played on our record.
So how did this work out? I know in your side projects you worked with him. So was he eager to do it?
We'd been touring, opening up for him on the road, and then we saw him after he made the record, and we had invited him, but it didn't work out, and he offered. He was coming through Memphis. So we rolled in. We had like an hour to do it, and we cut the track live, and he was so great.
And,
he said, I wanted to play harmonica in the key of A. I was like, all right, you got to do it.
But is there something in your mind already when the song was written, well, I want somebody else on the track, or was it just some impromptu?
No, we had to figure out what would be appropriate to have Robert play harmonica on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure. We're so happy to be back here.